Welcome to the Resilient Mindset Podcast, an exciting new podcast by Resilience Queen, Justine Martin. Justine is the owner and founder of the Resilient Mindset, a division of the Justine Martin Corporation. Justine draws on her years of experience and knowledge consulting with clients to develop and sustain a positive mindset. Focused on igniting your passion, purpose and power, follow the Resilience Queen each week as she delves into the mind of her guests, exploring fascinating stories and inspiring journeys.
Today's guest is Troy, a passionate mental health advocate and community leader from Geelong. He's the powerhouse behind Mental Health Militia, a grassroots movement breaking down stigma and starting real raw conversations about mental health. Troy is also the driving force at Complete Health Geelong, where he champions holistic wellbeing, combining physical, emotional and psychological support to help people thrive. Through lived experience, fierce advocacy and a no-nonsense approach, Troy is helping others feel seen, heard and supported. Whether he's speaking at schools, working one-on-one with clients or creating safe spaces for blokes to open up, Troy leads with heart and authenticity. He's here to remind us that vulnerability is strength and that community is key. Welcome back, listeners. Today I've got with me Troy. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to say Troy's last name to pronounce it. I'm going to let him do that. So, Troy, welcome.
Thank you. My last name it's half my family say it one way, half say it the other way, and then when you actually go to the Netherlands where it's from, they say it differently again. So I say Koerntjes, some say Koerntjes, and over there they say like Koerntjes. So, which I can't say. I can't do the rolling of the tongue. But
I can't do any of that. So anyway, welcome, Troy. It's your first name. Troy's had a very colourful life, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today and his journey in gaining resilience and bouncing forward. So we're going to step straight into this and stop all the chit-chat, the idle chit-chat. Can you share a defining moment in your life that tested your resilience, Troy?
I'd say it wouldn't have been one moment. It was a series of traumatic events in a short period of time. So I went through an abusive relationship. I got told that I'd never work again, never ride my bike again, never lift over 2 kilos again from a workplace injury. And then my brother died, and there was a couple of other things, but it was all in the space of like a 12-month period.
It happens like that sometimes, doesn't it? Because I had a similar experience where it was all very, very close together.
Yeah, and I was still in an Outlaw Motorcycle Club at this time, and I ended up spiraling and things like that. And funnily enough, again, my experience is a lot different than most. The club supported me like no tomorrow. So the reason I am where I am today is because of the support that I had from the club that I'm no longer in. So with their support, it helped me face all those sorts of things because I pretty much had a nervous breakdown. And I guess that was the best thing that ever happened to me is work cover sent me to a psychologist.
So then you had to face your demons that you'd been trying to hide and push down and suppress all those years. So I just want to brush on one thing that you said then, and it's something quite often that I've said on this podcast, is that you can't build resilience by yourself. It takes support from a team, from a network, from family, friends, external sources, psychologists, mates, everyone to do that. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So if you look at, when you were just saying that, then I actually had a thought about it. You can't be resilient if you can't emotionally regulate.
Yep.
And you can't emotionally regulate if you've never been taught it before. So part of your healing journey is finding people that can emotionally regulate and that are, safe people that you can put your trust in so that you can learn to mirror them and see how to do it. 100%. Because it's a learned skill. It's like when a baby trips over or a kid falls over, the first thing they do is they look at their parent to go, how should I respond to this? And that's them actually learning to regulate. They're does the parent panic and say, You might be hurt, or do they say, come on, get up, you're right, dust it off?
And that's
usually
the two children is that, the parent that panics and picks them up and cuddles them and doesn't let them do it again and again has one type of child to the parent that's like, you're fine, get up, pick yourself up, stop crying, it's fine. And two totally different outcomes for it. But the same with resilience. As an adult, it's asking for that help. And, asking for help is always a sign of strength, never a sign of weakness. And I think people need to get that thought straight in there that, I am strong by asking. I'm not seen as a weak person because I need help with this.
Yeah. Asking for help is one of the hardest things you will ever do. It's probably the hardest part of your healing journey. So that's why it takes so much strength to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what obstacles have shaped the person you are today?
Yeah, well, those obstacles before, and I actually have never really spoken about this either. I've actually teed it up to talk on another podcast about it, but exclusive. When I was younger, I always, like in primary school, I used to have to wear a patch over my eye because I've got a lazy eye.
Me too.
And didn't do a thing.
Right.
But I had to wear it for a long time, and I was also left-handed. And back when I was younger, if you were left-handed, they used to make you right-handed.
Yeah.
So I had no depth perception, so I couldn't catch a ball. And I thought I was stupid because I used to write my name backwards and upside down because I was actually left-handed, writing with my right. So, so when I was young, and I also had problems with my knees and feet. So I always thought there was a lot of things wrong with me. And that just carried on all through my life until the point of looking for identity and meaning and purpose through things like joining Army cadets, joining Outlaw Motorcycle Clubs, joining, I was a volunteer CFA, anything with like a uniform or something where I could find purpose bigger than myself or some form of identity. So those little traumatic things in childhood can affect your whole trajectory.
100%. So how's your vision now?
Still exactly the same.
You have perception now?
No. So every time I go and get my eyes checked now, it's never gotten worse, but it's always stayed the same. So I can wear glasses and I'll get like 2 points better. It's not worth it. But it probably won't get worse. So
how old are you? How old are you, Troy?
42.
Yeah, give it 10 years.
Well, whenever I'm in there,
it went. I'm like, I'm the only person in my family that doesn't wear glasses. Now I think I've got about 6 pairs and they're in every room in the house. And as you can see, listeners that are listening, I've got a nice turquoise pair on today because they've got to match the outfit that I'm wearing. But I am literally blind without them for reading. I can't read not even the labels. I can't even read my mobile phone anymore without putting glasses on. And it was a very quick deterioration on that. And so that's, another obstacle, another adversity, another life moment that happens. It's like, well, how am I going to deal with this? I can say, well, I'm not going to wear them and, be defiant against it. Or, no, okay, this aid is, by wearing glasses, is going to help me see a bigger, brighter world, which is the option that I took down there. So you wait 10 years. I'll come back in 10 years and go, you wearing those glasses yet?
I do have them. I just don't wear them because I don't do enough to make it worth it.
Can you catch a ball?
So they said they can't believe I do martial arts. They couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, so they said I would never, ever fly a plane because of my eyesight, because you have to have 20/20.
Yeah.
So I think that was about the only thing they said I'd never be able to do. But they said I wouldn't be able to do that anyway because I'm too tall. So, yeah, it didn't matter either way. I never planned to fly a plane, but it was never an option.
How tall are you, Troy?
6'2".
Oh, yeah. I thought you were taller.
It's funny, everyone that watches my social media always thinks I'm short.
Oh, God, no. No, you're taller than me. Not much taller than me, but you're taller than me. What mindset shifts helped you navigate difficult times?
There is one really, really big one that I always think about constantly. And I actually wrote it in the book yesterday. So
we're going to come back and talk about that book in a moment, folks.
Yeah.
So I know about the book.
So I do think about this all the time. After I'd been injured, I actually couldn't walk for a year. And when I'd been released from hospital, I came home. And the first time I went to leave the house, I couldn't put my socks on. And I was living with one of the highest members in the Outlaw Motorcycle Club as you can get.
Yeah.
He was a national, very important, very famous dude in the bikie world, someone that I looked up to a lot. And I was sitting on the couch trying to put my socks on, and he walked past, and I felt like just emasculated and like super vulnerable. And I was just like, bro, can you please help me put my socks on? He was just like, yeah, of course, bro. Put my socks on and then sort of walked off. But it was the look in his face that still gets me now. It was like, I can't believe he even like asked me like that. Like, of course I was. Like, of course I'd do it. It was like, wasn't even a question for him. Like, yeah, no worries, bro. And the fact that I could ask him for help. So he walked off, and it was like even now it's seared into my brain, the look on his face. It was almost like disgust that I asked him in that manner. It was like, of course, bro. It was like that. And that really stuck with me going, wow, I actually can ask for people for things. I don't have to be super independent to get things done, and I can put my trust in other people. That was a real defining moment for me that sort of shattered a belief that I'd had. And
don't you think it's amazing that, we build these things up in our brain? I mean, I recently, as you know, I've got my book coming out, Moxie, How I Learned to Harden the Fuck Up. I'm getting my plug in there. We'll talk about it in a moment. And there's some, it's a tell-all book. I haven't held anything back. And there's some bits in there that I thought, oh, shit, I'm going to have to tell my kids this before they read it. And to me, I'm not going to go into it here. You'll have to read the book. There is one thing that for the last 33 years has had a major impact on my life, and this secret that I've had to carry for so long. And I've tossed and turned on whether I would put it in the book or not. I had someone say to me, I don't think you should be putting that in there. You don't want the world to know that about you. And then I'm like, and they're going to have to rewrite, a certain story in there to take it out. And I'm like, but then I'm not authentic. Then it's not going in as me. I'm hiding behind it. And I was so worried in telling my children this particular thing. And so I've recently done it. And they both turned around and went, oh, well, that's no biggie, Mum. And I'm like, what? For me, like 33 years I've been carrying this for, and I finally get up enough courage and everything to share it with you and to tell you, and now you're saying it's no big deal. So I'd built this thing up in my head for so long on what I thought they were going to judge me, and they weren't going to be, my children anymore, so to speak, and they're going to hate me and everything, and total opposite. And I'm glad that I've spoken to them, and I'm glad that I've put it in the book, because then it's my, authenticity still coming through in that. So let's talk about your book.
Yeah.
So
just on that, I find like 99% of the time that if you do put your trust in people, they will live up to it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So you approached me, it's a while ago now, isn't it? Last year. Was it last year?
It was at that networking event for Food Share.
Yeah, I think that was before Christmas.
Yeah.
It would have been. Maybe October, November. I don't know. It was a while ago, folks. And I had seen you all over social media, and my daughter was with me, and I looked across and I went, they're those guys from Mental Health Militia. Let's go and have a chat. I want to have a chat. I reckon I can help them, because I really love what you do. So do you want to talk about Mental Health Militia for a bit?
Yeah, so the Mental Health Militia, it's a non-for-profit. At this stage, we've applied for the DGR status, so that's pending.
So that's. Do you want to explain to the listeners what DGR is?
That's the charity status, so that we can receive donations and actually give you receipts for it.
Yep.
So that it's tax deductible, essentially, and it opens up for more grants as well. Because at the moment we're self-funded. We've sort of got another business called Complete Health Geelong, which is basically running as a social enterprise, which means all the profits go back in to run free community programs, and that's sort of funding the militia, and both things are sort of working together at the moment. But they will soon be two totally separate things, with the Mental Health Militia then sponsoring programs through community grants and funding to try and do all the cool shit we do at the moment. But
what's the cool shit that you do?
So at the moment we do a free women's group twice a week. So that's a high tea and some self-defense, boxing, kickboxing, that sort of thing. We do a men's mental health group 3 days a week with a barbecue. All of our classes revolve around something to do with exercise, something to do with cooking, and it also has mindfulness and yoga. We also have free yoga on Wednesdays, and we also have a free mixed group on Wednesday nights at 5. So they're all pretty exciting, and we do free mental health teams for events. So if somebody's got an event coming up, they can shoot us an email and we'll come and put on a free barbecue for the community. And you can say, you've got a mental health team there for the day if anybody needs to come and have a chat. So we've attended a lot of events, and we just give back a fair bit. We have some community dinners and things like that. Sometimes we feed the homeless. We do other businesses as well. If people want to, if they've got a business and they want to put on a mental health team and a chat over a barbie for their staff, where we do things like that as well.
That's fantastic. So tell me about your book.
Yeah, so the book is, some of the proceeds from the book are going to go to help fund it, so that we don't have to say, please, can we have some money all the time? We're hoping to be self-funded. So we've got merchandise like what I'm wearing now.
Which is a black T-shirt with white writing that says Mental Health Militia and their little logo, which is a brain.
Little logo.
Yeah. Brain.
It's a brain with some arms coming out of it. And on the back is all the sponsors from one of the years. So we've done it. This is our 4th year, but it's our second. This will be our 3rd ride shirt. So all the sponsors can get their names on the shirt. And we're hoping that to be self-funded. We don't want to have to be applying for grants and things like that. So we're putting a bit of energy into merchandise. So if anyone's got any skills in that area and want to help out, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And the book is hopefully going to do the same thing. The sales from that, same as all my social medias, it all goes back in to help us fund.
And what's the book about, Troy?
The book's about outlaw motorcycle clubs, but with a difference. It's never been done before. So usually a book written by an ex-member is to say how gangster they are, and they can, get their persona out there and talk about how cool they are. And all about their ego, yeah. They're just trying to sell books. Where this book is a book of ex-members that have all answered 21 questions. So I'm interviewing them, and it's to find out where their head is at, what made them join an outlaw motorcycle club, what they got out of it, what hindered their lives, what mental health space were they in when they were in an outlaw motorcycle club, what was it like when they left, how did they reintegrate into society, what are they doing now. So they get a bit of a freedom to elaborate on a story or two if they wish, but it's to really look into the minds of why people were in outlaw motorcycle clubs and what their mindset was like while they were in one.
Yep.
So it gives you a bit of information about them.
Now, and what they're doing now back in to regular society.
Yeah. So there's a lot of the guys that are in there are now doing something pretty cool in the community. So
yeah. And Morpheus Publishing, which listeners is a subsidiary of Justine Martin Corporation, is actually producing that book. So I'm the publisher of it, and I'm very proud to be bringing that to life. And we're going to bring it out in December
at the ride on the 21st.
Yeah, right on the 21st in Geelong. So if you are in Victoria, please pop to Geelong Showgrounds that day and see the launch of it. Say hi to Troy and I. We'll be both up on stage and we'll be both running around, I reckon, on that day like chooks with our heads cut off. You're not doing the ride, are you?
I'd like to.
Oh, God. We'll talk about that off air. That we will.
Are you loving the podcast so far? Imagine the possibilities if you had Justine Martin guiding you through your writing journey. Whether you're crafting your next big book or perfecting a personal project, Justine's expertise can elevate your work. Don't miss out on the chance to work with a seasoned pro, ready to take your writing to the next level. Message us today and let's make your writing dreams come true.
Did your challenges come with any unexpected blessings or opportunities?
All of them were the best thing that ever happened to me. And I can say that absolutely honestly. I would not be where I am right now without it.
I get that.
Hands down the best. It was my conduit of change that 1 year. It absolutely changed the trajectory of my life. If they hadn't have happened, I'd still be there.
Do you reckon you'd be alive? Do you reckon that you'd be alive? Because, you had a 180 change.
To give people a little bit of insight to my mindset at the time, I was one of the only members to ever be banned from partying for 3 months by the national president. So
hence why when I say, do you think you'd still be alive, is a genuine question. Or have you never really?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that I eventually would have found this way, but I don't know. Reality is, I'd probably be locked up. I probably would have been locked up for sure, at a minimum. Yeah.
Because before shit hit the fan for me, in that blink of an eyelid, everything changed. I thought I was living my dream life. I thought I was in, my dream job. I had the dream relationship. It turns out my dreams are nightmares. The universe had other ideas. Same with you there, Troy. So do you have any daily practices or routines that strengthen your resilience?
I try and work out every morning.
What do you do? When you say work out, there's a lot of different meanings to working out.
Yeah, so now that I'm getting older, I have to adjust how I worked out. So that was a massive mind shift that I had to get used to. I couldn't out-train my demons anymore because of all the injuries. So once I got myself back up to be able to train, which took a lot of rehab.
So we're talking weightlifting training, we're talking running, what are we talking in your work?
So I do 3 sessions of gym a week, weightlifting, mixed with martial arts. Depending, I'm still working my way back to getting into jiu-jitsu, and that's going to be a slow progress. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Tuesday, Thursdays, I will try and get into the pool and do hydrotherapy. So I do a lot of band work, a lot of recovery type stuff and pre-injury type stuff, and I try and get a walk in probably at least 5 days a week. At the minimum, I do 5 walks a week. So I try for 6 or 7.
And what happens if you don't do any of that?
If I don't do any of them, I will usually find myself maybe playing the guitar for a little bit, which I cannot do, but I do try. So I've got a few things that I shift in between if I can't do certain things.
So does something happen to your mindset if you can't get out there and do all of that? Does something happen to your body if you don't do all of that? Because I know when I don't exercise, I can barely walk and move. I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
What about you?
2 weeks of no training and all my injuries start coming back. Yeah. 3 weeks of no training and I'm starting to walk like a crippled old man.
Yeah.
If I train every day, you wouldn't even know I've got an injury.
Yeah.
But if I start missing a week, I start getting a little bit niggly in the back. If I start missing 2 weeks, my hip might start getting a little bit sore. My shoulders start getting a little bit sore. My back gets really sore. And then, week 3, I start having a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. And then your mindset shifts as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I can't stick to a diet if I don't train. That's something that I'm working on all the time with a food addiction. It's a very hard one to give up.
I'm hearing you. Food's the hardest addiction to give up.
Yep.
Do you know why?
Well, because you need it.
Because you need
you
it.
can't not have
right.
it.
So, you can go cold turkey with every other addiction. You can.
Yep.
But you can't with food.
Yep.
Because you still got to put it in through those lips.
Yep. So I've gone from 163 kilos to 116 I was this morning.
Big boy.
Yeah. And I'm finding it very hard to lose weight now. I've got about 7 or 8 kilos in loose skin that will need to be taken off if I ever decide to do that. I think I'm too old and I'm not vain enough to bother about
too
that.
Old. He's 42 listeners. Oh, my God.
I just think I've got better.
54 here, remember?
Well, the thing that worries me about it, because I am very injured, so a good thing is it will take a bit of weight off the front, but I also wouldn't be able to train for like 6 months.
And you'd be high risk of infection too, wouldn't you? You're high risk.
But I don't know about that. But I would definitely have to start all of my rehab again after having 6 months off.
Yeah, and that happened to me. I woke up one morning unable to walk and had to learn how to walk again. And so I was at a peak performance for me in weightlifting, and I'd been competing internationally in Olympic weightlifting as a masters lifter. There were not many people in my age or body weight. So I used to win medals, but half the time I was the only one there.
That's awesome. I wouldn't be telling anyone that.
The best on the day. What can I say? Where was everyone else? Sitting, eating potato chips on their lounge. So, my best bench press was only just shy of 40 kilos, and I had to go back to 3 kilos.
Yeah.
And, the head fuck that gave me was massive. And I've never been able to get back up to that weight again. But I walk in that gym 3 days a week. I lift those weights despite on how heavy or how light they are, because I know that on a bad day when I walk in there, I walk out with a much better mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just do band work half the time now. It works. It's so much better. I used to bench 150 at my peak, and I got 160 once. Once I got it. So it's not a huge deal, but I got it once.
Hey, 10 kilos is a lot of weight difference.
Yeah.
1 kilo is a lot of weight difference sometimes.
And now I do 40. I think I did 60 yesterday on bench. But now I do tension under load. I don't worry about doing huge lifts. It's too bad for your joints. If you're just getting into bodybuilding and that, find another way rather than just doing heavy weights.
Yeah, exactly. And running as well. If you've never run before the age of 35, do not take up running after the age of 35, because you'll blow your knees out. Because that impact, and they're not conditioned to it. You'll see plenty of people say that they want to run to lose weight or to get fit. And I'm like, have you ever done that before? No, I'll be fine. And then, you see them a couple of months later and they're hobbling and they've got major knee pains. It's like, I told you to blow your knees out, that impact,
Yeah.
We do have to change what we're doing as we get older, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. How has resilience shown up in your business?
It's stressful every day. So I've got a thing that I do. I've got like a little mantra, because I used to get stressed about. Funny, for a guy who didn't believe in stress and anxiety when I was younger, I realized what a real thing it is, and then learnt to feel it. And then so what I do is now I've got a mantra that I say every single time that I'm stressed or there's things weighing on me. I'm like, what is the solution to this problem? And I look for the solution, and then I don't see the problem anymore. I just see action, and that action empowers me. Yep. It doesn't hold me back. So I'm not sitting in that problem anymore. So I always say that mantra whenever I'm feeling a little bit. No one's perfect. I'll be sitting there. I'll be stressed about it for an hour, and then I'll be like, "What are you doing? What's the solution?" And then I'll be like, okay, I got it. But I always come back to that. What is the solution to this problem? Do I need to take it out of my life? Do I need to put something back into my life? Do I need to take an action somewhere? Whatever it is.
I action it straight away.
Yeah.
The bad things, the things that you don't want to do, just get rid of them. do them straight away, and then you'll enjoy doing the things that you like doing. I hear people say, oh, I do the things that I like doing first. And I'm like, no, because you're not going to enjoy doing that because you're constantly thinking about that other thing that should have been done. Stress is a killer. I mean, that's that old cliche that stress is a killer. I've eliminated stress out of my life. I'm extremely busy with work, but it's not stressful.
Yeah.
You've got to get rid of the stress.
Yep, absolutely. And then I believe that triggers are made to be ran at.
Yep.
I always have been. So I never do. You'll never see a trigger warning on any of my videos ever. I'm like, you're an adult. You're in control of your own emotions. Deal with it. I'm not going to enable you to make yourself weak.
I do a trigger warning on my talks.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I stand up and I do a spoiler trigger alert that I'm alive and well and healthy.
That's great.
That's my warning going through because, I do talk about some really harrowing stuff that happened to me and having 3 cancers at once, and it is triggering for some people. And I just say, look, spoiler alert, here's your trigger warning. I'm alive, healthy and well and the happiest I've ever been. So you can get through this with it.
I'm just if you've been triggered, you've got a place to do some work.
100%.
Look at it as a place to learn from. That's my other mantra. If I'm going through something stressful, I'll say, what can I learn from this moment?
Yeah.
And they're the 2 things I'll probably say 10 times a day. And I have done for the last 6-7 years. They've become my 2 go-tos. I'm just like, yep.
And doing the work is it. I mean, I've been in therapy now since 2012, every 2 to 3 weeks for 13 years. I have the same therapist all the way through. I've been very fortunate. And you've got to find a therapist that you connect with.
Yep.
Not everyone suits everyone. So if you find someone and you're not connecting with them or you feel that you're being judged, then find someone else.
Yep.
And I had this big phobia of like, I can't start from scratch again. I'm sticking with this one and you've got me now for life, so to speak. But, in regards to therapy, I don't believe that it's my family or friends' responsibility to hear me vent all the time. For me to offload. I don't want that relationship with them. Don't get me wrong. I talk about things that, are wrong with my body and my life, and that to a certain degree with them. I then know that I've got and I call her my shrink, not that she's my shrink, but I call her my shrink, that I've got her appointment coming up and that I can debrief and offload everything that's happening. And, I pay her for that 45 minutes and then I walk out feeling so much better because I've bounced it all off her. I've got it all out. If there's a situation or a relationship or something that I'm struggling with, I can bounce it off her and walk out feeling so much lighter for the next fortnight.
Yeah, I love that you said that because there's so many people putting so much pressure on their partners that it's not funny. It's like your partner does not need to love all of your hobbies. You've got friends for that. Your partner isn't your counsellor. Get a counsellor for that. Yep. There's certain things that your partner isn't, and they are not there to meet all of your needs.
No, and because they've got their own issues as well, and all of a sudden they're carrying all of this. So, your stuff as well as their stuff. I mean, in my case, I don't have a partner anymore. So, I found him dead on the floor, and that brought its own barrel of worms with it. And so, my daughter and son-in-law were grieving his loss. I couldn't add more on to them. So it was I sought grief counselling as well as my normal counsellor as well. It was actually the Victorian Police that provided some grief counselling.
Yeah,
which I wasn't aware that they did something like that. It did take a few weeks to get into for me, but they provided the grief counselling of it. So because they were obviously called to the scene, so you just have to again ask for help. It comes back to asking for that help, and that's how you build resilience, by it. And, we can't get from being born, so from B to D, so birth to death, without going through life moments. And if we reprogram our brains that they're not adversities, they're just a bad life moment, and it too will pass, and you will have good life moments there, but you have to do the work.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to let some small thing ruin your 24 hours in a day. Something that took 5 minutes should not wreck 25 minutes of your day. You should be able to overcome that and let it go to where it is.
Yeah.
I remember I had a viral reel once. It's like just shy. It's like 10,000 shy of 1 million views. And yeah, it had something crazy like 600 comments or 700 comments or something. There was one negative comment. It actually happened pretty quick, like in the early years when I started posting. And I hadn't developed a really thick skin yet. That one comment was the only negative comment, and it drilled me for like 4 days. Absolutely drilled me until I worked it out in my head how not to let it get to me.
Well, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
No, but that's right. But even though there was like 600-700 awesome comments, there was one bad one, and it's the bad one that I concentrated on. So it's just a good point. When you're trying to be resilient, where's your focus? What are you focusing on?
Well, I focus on me. I focus in staying in my own lane with my blinkers on. I know that sounds really selfish, but if I'm not looking after me, then I can't look after anyone else. Yeah. So I've actually got here, because I stand up in my talks with this.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. So for those that can't see, it's actually from an aeroplane, the oxygen mask. And I talk about the oxygen mask theory, that if you are not looking after yourself, then you're no good for anyone else at all. And a bit of a visual reminder there so people remember it. And when they get on a plane, they remember again, Justine was talking about the oxygen mask theory. So, you down the ladder of life, are you right down the bottom and you put everyone else's needs in front of you, which most people do. And therefore they're no good for anyone. And when you then go into a crisis situation, you're on fight and flight mode constantly because everyone's taking bits from you, and you're no good for anyone.
Yeah. And that goes into this is controversial, and a lot of people watching this aren't going to like it. But It's like when you're in a relationship, your partner should be your first priority, not your kids. That's the way it always should be. And that's how we're taught it when we're doing relationship counselling, how to do it. So if you've got a really good relationship with your partner and you guys stay together, that's a better outcome for the kids, because you're teaching the kids what love is. You're teaching the kids how to respect each other. You're doing all this. So you should, most of your attention.
Two people that are looking after the kids, not just one person.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
It's super controversial, but it's true. It is absolutely true.
Yeah. But I would say that you look after yourself first before you look after your partner.
Yeah, sure. It's you first, then your partner, then your kids. That's the order.
That's right. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about writing your own book? Join the Morpheus Publishing Writing Group program and turn your dream into reality. Contact Morpheus Publishing today and start your journey to becoming a published author.
What message do you have for someone who feels like their situation is hopeless?
I'd be asking myself, have I tried everything? Now, when I'm doing counselling with people, that's the first thing everybody says. I've tried everything. And then I'm usually like, have you tried not drinking V's when you first get up in the morning? No. Well, have you tried exercise? No. Have you tried journaling? No. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? I'm like, so you haven't tried everything. So there are things in life called limiting beliefs, and they're things that we've learned when we're as children, and we usually attach negative connotations to them. So it's usually, I can't do this. I could never do that, when you could. So the problem is because
choose not to.
That's exactly right. And a lot of times there's things in the way that are preventing that, like these limiting beliefs. It's usually something that somebody's told you when you were young. So if you picture you've got a table and it's got 4 legs on it, so they're the foundation. If somebody tells you, well, it doesn't even have to tell you, you perceive it as, so somebody tells you you're stupid, someone tells you you're not good enough, blah, 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 blah. So now you've got a foundation of wobbly legs, and there's your limiting beliefs. So instead of having the foundation of a really nice solid table, everything is skew if. And because everything is skew if, you can't make proper decisions, you can't see the forest from the trees, you're constantly hyper-vigilant, and you believe these limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, that I'm stupid, that, you believe the legs on the table. So part of getting through that is rebuilding these legs on the table so that you can make better, more well-informed decisions. So we've got to change the roots on the tree so we can change the fruit. If we're always chasing the fruit, which is addiction, it's don't do drugs, don't do this, don't do that, and you pick that fruit, the same fruit's just going to grow. So you've got to go under, change them legs on the table, change them roots on the tree, so that way your outcome is different and you start growing a different sort of fruit. Yep. That's the way it works.
Well, you're not growing rotted fruit.
That's right. So that's why I always recommend you've got to go see a counsellor or a psychologist.
Oh, me too.
Always.
100%. Yeah.
Don't take shortcuts. It's not gonna help you.
No, it's not. I mean, I grew up with a narcissistic mother. So I always thought that I was never good enough and I could never do anything right. My brother could never do anything wrong. So he was the golden child until he got a girlfriend. And then when he got a girlfriend, my mother was poisoned against her. And she even cut my sister-in-law's photos out of the engagement party and didn't go to the engagement party. So she was a hard piece of work. She was, my mum. But that laid the foundations all the way through of me not being good enough. And 12 years, I'm still working on being good enough for things. So, daughters of narcissistic mothers will generally head 2 ways. So they'll head down the path of addictions or they'll be overachievers.
Absolutely. They're usually the 2 ways.
Work out which one I am.
And for other people that are listening to that, they're like, well, I didn't have that. My childhood was pretty good. There was no trauma there. Trauma isn't what you think it is.
No, that's right. I thought I had a normal childhood.
Yeah. Something super traumatic is simply your mum having postnatal depression up until you're 2. Those first 2 years is when the mum is imprinting on you and teaching you emotional regulation and teaching you how to connect. If in those 2 years your mum can't do that, that sets you up to fail straight away just from that. If if everything else in your life isn't 100% perfect, you're already in trouble. Yeah. Just that one simple thing.
You can't learn it either. I mean, I've had to learn how to parent myself, which might sound funny. I'm 54 years of age, and in the last 10 years, I've had to learn how, and particularly the last 5 years, had to learn how to parent myself and look after my inner child. I didn't even know what an inner child was up until that point. But it took me being thrown into a wall by someone that was supposed to love and care for me and break my arm that I went, oh, hang on here. Things are going to change in my life. And I had a repeat pattern of behaviour of drawing particular men, that type of man, into my life, and went back to the scratch and went, what am I doing wrong? I'm the common denominator in all of these relationships, not excusing their behaviour in any way, shape or form, but it needed to change.
So I always say there's 3 parts to an abusive relationship when you're in your healing journey, like for the person. There's the part where you only focus solely on the toxic person. You try and fix them, and then you break up, and then you start thinking, why did they do these things? So you're still focusing on them because they've gone. Now there's a massive void. So you've got the trauma bond. You've got all these things going in here now. So you've got this massive void. So you focus on them. Why did they do this? Why? How? Why? What made them like this? Are they a narcissist or do they have BPD? You know, you ask all these questions. Are they a psychopath? Whatever. The thing is, it doesn't matter. And then the second part is the middle stage, where you focus on the relationship and how did I get myself into this situation? And you start focusing on how did I relate with them? How did they relate with me? And all these sorts of questions. This is the middle ground. So this is a good frame of reference. If you are in your healing journey, you can tell where you are. And then the next bit, which is the final phase, is where you start focusing solely on you. So it didn't matter what they did and everything that they did to you. You don't need the justice or the revenge or anything like that. You don't need to understand why they hurt you. You've got your closure. You don't need to understand your part in the relationship anymore. You've worked that out. You've finally figured out that you've got some toxic stuff going on yourself, and you both were just playing tennis backwards and forwards. You've gotten to a point now where you're like, I'm only going to focus on bettering myself and dealing with all my issues. So that's sort of the trajectory that I've seen it go in abuse counselling over the last 7 years.
I'm in that third.
Yeah, me too.
I'm taking care of me.
And then when you know that you've really got somewhere is when you say being in that relationship was the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't regret it at all.
I don't know how long that's going to take to get to that. I don't know if that'll happen in this lifetime, I can assure you. So, we'll get maybe.
Being here is better than being in jail or dead for me. So
we have different backgrounds there. What advice would you give your younger self?
My younger self. What advice would I give my younger self? Just to hang in there, because life gets better as it gets older. Yeah, you grow up when you're young. A lot of people, especially if they were popular in high school, say these are going to be the best days of your life. You know, you've got to enjoy them. It goes downhill after you get older. Well, that's wrong. If you're on the other side of the tracks and you weren't popular in high school, your future is going to be amazing. You don't peak when you're in high school like those people. Your life ends up becoming amazing.
That's so true.
Because you actually will end up working through all your stuff and you will become the person that you always wanted. You will change those limiting beliefs that hold up the table to be the limiting beliefs, to be the beliefs that you want. They'll end up being your self-worth, your confidence, and you'll be able to rebuild yourself to the way you always dreamed you wanted to be.
And then I've had those people from high school say, wow, you've done so well for yourself. I'm like, yeah, thanks for the bullying that you put me through in high school. Well, you help shape the person that I am today. You just don't realise it. Then I've had other, like some girls say to me in high school, and they might be listening to this, so be it, that we were organising a school reunion and they said, we didn't have classes, not, different segregations of people in our year. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? I said, you guys were in the it crowd. And they're like, there was no it crowd. I'm like, that's because you're at the top.
That's right, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we were like the plebs down the bottom. I was like middle to low. I was in the bottom English class, which we used to, politically incorrect, used to call it veggie English. And I couldn't spell to save myself. I still can't spell. I got E's in school for spelling. But I'm like, are you serious? Of course there was different levels in our year and groups of people. And I look at those groups of people now on what they've done. You had the thin chicks in high school. Well, a lot of them have let themselves go. And you had me who was, the overweight girl that was teased constantly, that had so much trauma going on at home with a disabled mum. And now I'm health conscious from it and have totally transformed my life. I mean, like you, I'm the healthiest and happiest I've ever been in my life, despite all my disabilities and my body failing me on a daily basis. It's all about perspective, isn't it?
Absolutely. I actually haven't spoken about this much either. I was like up until year 7, so what's that, 13 years old, I was like Raj from The Big Bang Theory. I couldn't talk to a chick.
Really?
Really, not a chance. And now I do talks in front of, a lot of people, and it doesn't even bother me.
And you've got your own podcast.
Yeah, I've got my own podcast, so the Mental Health Militia podcast, which is doing pretty well. So we've got some exciting guests planned for the future, and that.
I'm waiting to get on his podcast.
Yeah, there's just
and
keeps going on.
You've got a good TikTok following.
Yeah. Which is surprising considering I got dared to do that by 2 12-year-olds that I was instructing at the time. They were like, "Oh, come on, do a TikTok dance with me," and I was like, I'm not doing a TikTok dance again. It's for 12-year-old girls TikTok. And then they're like, well, you should do your trauma talks on TikTok. It'll be good. And I was like, nah, it's not for me. And then I got on there and it sort of got pretty big straight away.
Yeah. Yep. I've never done a TikTok dance.
Yeah, me either.
I've got short-term memory. So by the time you got to the third move, I can't remember the first move. So No, not embarrassing myself. But I've got a small following on TikTok. I've got a bigger one on YouTube now, and obviously on social medias. Do you get recognised when you're out and about?
Yeah, especially on at bike events and stuff like that. I do. That's only started this year. I've had a couple of people recognise me at shopping. Once in the pharmacy. That was an odd one. It's just like. And I was like, can I help you? They just stare at me. But it does happen. There.
I've had it happen. I've been walking through a shopping centre in far north Queensland and someone yelled out, Justine, and came running over towards me. No idea. No idea who she was. Oh, I follow you on socials. Is this your new grandson? And I'm like, ooh. Yes, nice to meet you. Keep walking. And then, I've had people come up and say, can I have your autograph? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Sure.
I've got a really bad memory for names, and I always think that when people come up to me that I've just forgotten their name until they say, oh, I follow you on socials, and I'm like, oh,
thank God.
That's lucky, because I thought I'd forgotten your name. I'm always a little bit anxious about that point, and I never know how to respond.
I'm quite open on the fact that I'm not going to remember your name. I'm Dory. I've got that 3-second memory, and she's gone. And, I can be chatting to someone who I've known for years, and it's like, oh, my God, what's their name? And I have this thing, if I'm out with any of, my employees or friends and I don't introduce them, it's because I can't remember their name, and they have to do that.
Everybody knows that when they go out with me, that if I don't introduce them, they have to introduce themselves so I can get their name. We've got an unwritten rule that everybody knows.
Same. Now, I just picked a really good question there. What's the bravest thing you've ever done?
The bravest thing? I'd say... probably leaving the motorcycle club. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was such a big part of my life for so many years. It was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever done. In the end, the toxic relationship, that was easy. At the end, that was a decision that I knew that I had to make.
Yep.
But leaving the motorcycle, I could still be there now. So making the choice to leave that was probably one of the bravest things. Yeah. There's one thing about leaving a motorcycle club is my phone used to go flat twice a day. And the day that I left, not a phone call, not a message, and I'm on good standings, which means, I can talk to them all, hang out, whatever. It's all fine. And that's you still get cut off, even at good standings. And I knew that was going to happen. So facing that nothingness and the quiet and having to sit with myself. So that was as hard to face as the actual leaving of all my brothers behind, and that as well, because there were a lot still in the club that I was very, very close to.
And you're going to be able to read more about Troy's journey in Behind the Back Patch when it comes out in December, and we will put in the show notes, once we've got it up and going, I'll update the show notes for this as well when we've got the pre-purchase link and everything ready to go up there. And it will be available on all major online book platforms, so Amazon, your Booktopia, all of those, Google Books, you'll be able to purchase it through, and you'll be able to purchase it directly through Mental Health Militia and also Morpheus Publishing. Just get a plug in there while I can.
So you basically get to read a book about outlaw motorcycle clubs, and the intent is that you come away with it with a new vocabulary on trauma. Like this discussion here, we've spoken about traumatic events, motorcycle clubs, but we've also thrown in, I don't want to say buzzwords like limiting beliefs and all these types of things, but hopefully you've come away with a few things you didn't know before, and just still got engaged. So that's the idea behind it. You'll listen to these other guys' stories and you might be able to relate. You get to read about motorcycle clubs, which is everyone's always curious about, but you also come away with something. That's the intent. Yeah,
which is what we wanted, and raise some money for mental health as well, particularly men's mental health there. Okay, so now some quirky questions. You ready?
Yep.
If you could have any superpower just for one day, what would it be?
That is a good one. Oof. I don't know. It'd have to be to fly, I think. It'd be real bad coming off that though. After not being able to fly again, the withdrawal from that would be pretty bad. But I reckon that'd be fun. Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
That's purely for fun. There's nothing else behind that one. Purely fun. I'd like the freedom just to be able to fly around everywhere.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Adam Harvey, Living in the House that Jack Built.
There you go.
Yeah, I can nail it.
Can you? What's something weird or unexpected that brings you joy?
My Thai tea.
Your what?
My Thai tea.
Is that your? Do you like
my little drink that I have a couple of times a day.
Oh, okay. I had no idea what that was then. Okay, what's the next thing? If your life had a theme song right now, what would it be?
Oh, I actually got asked this the other day, and I was like, oh, that's it right there. And now I can't think of it.
We can come back to that one if you can't remember it.
Well, I always said my fight song would be Here I Go Again on My Own.
Ah.
Yeah. If I don't want to go out, if I don't want to do anything, if you put that song on, I'm automatically G'd up to, all right, let's do something.
Cool. Who sings that? Is that Survivor or Journey?
I thought isn't it Whitesnake?
Oh, that's it. Whitesnake, yes. For the younger audience members that are listening to us, that would be a 1980s big hair band.
Yeah, well, I actually like my secret thing with music is I actually really, really like 60s country, 40s, 50s country.
We will not hold that against you, Troy, in any way, shape or form. You do not look like someone that would like that kind of music. What's the most unusual item in your backpack or office or handbag?
It's all influencer stuff right now. Like microphones and things like. Actually, there's a meteorite. Oh, not a meteorite. We're not exactly sure what it is. I found it gold detecting on the weekend. It's a very light volcanic rock that still sets off the gold detector.
Ooh.
So it's got metals in it, but we had it tested and they're not sure what. So that's in there. That's actually in there right now.
That's a meteorite, that one there.
That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
If you could invite 3 people, dead or alive, to dinner, who's coming?
It would. So John Wayne is probably he was my idol growing up. Absolutely love John Wayne. So he'd have to be on there, I think. And I'd really like to
1950s country songs.
yeah. And so can I have 2 more?
Yeah, you can 3.
Okay, the 3. So it'd probably be Bruce Lee,
of course,
and Kid Rock.
Okay, no surprises on any of those 3 at all. Sweet tooth or savoury snack? What's your guilty pleasure?
Sweet all the way.
Oh, okay, that's a surprise. Do you like chocolate?
I love chocolate.
You can eat my share. I can't eat it. What's a word you've always misspelled or mispronounced?
You've been talking to one of my mates. So I've been copping shit for this for the last 30 years. I always said Warren Ponds instead of Warren Ponds. I cop so much hell for that. Every time I see one of my friends, he finds a way to bring it up in front of everybody. Every time.
Warren Ponds.
Warren Ponds. I'm like, that's the way it's spelt. And he's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, in my head, it's Warren Ponds.
It's Warren Ponds for those who are listening.
I cop that.
It's actually a suburb in Geelong, Warren Ponds, or the locals call it Ponds.
Yeah, I cop it every single time I see him. He finds some way to slip it in conversation.
If you had to wear one outfit forever, what would it be? See, I no, that question just throws me right out.
One outfit, be shorts, thongs, and probably this T-shirt. Actually, exactly what I'm wearing now.
I knew you were going to say that. Whereas me, no, I go away for a week and I take like 30 kilos of luggage. What's one fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I was going to say the country music thing.
Yeah, that would be because...
Yeah, that's probably about it.
Yeah, you don't look like a country music person.
Or 50s, 60s rock and roll. Big fan of as well.
Oh, yeah, you still don't look like that either. No, I'm not being nasty in any way, shape or form, listeners here. You'll have to look at the vlog, which is available on Justine Martin's Justine Martin Corporation's YouTube channel. It'll be up on through there. So, Troy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today on the Resilience Mindset podcast.
Oh, it's been great being on. You made me think with some of those questions. It was great.
That's good. I do like to do that. Now, remember, listeners, the book will be out towards the end of the year. We will have pre-sales available before then. All Troy's contact details will be in the show notes. So if you want to get in contact with him, by all means, follow him on socials. We'll put all his links up there as well on socials as well as mine. Until next time, when I'm chatting to you all, build a bit of resilience in your own life.
We hope you enjoyed the Resilience Mindset podcast. Remember to subscribe to the podcast to get your weekly fix listening to Resilience Queen Justine Martin. Follow Justine on social media at Resilience Mindset or log on to justinemartin.com.au. And until next time, remember, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient.